In this video, I'm going to show you the basics of how extension kit works. For purpose of this video, I'm going to work with the property operations module, but basically all other modules work in a very similar way. There might be some differences because each module is used for different use cases, for different functionalities. But I'm going to show you on the example of property operations, and you can work with, and based on that, you will figure out each and every module, but you don't have to worry about, because we have for each module, we have a dedicated video explaining in more details how that specific module works. So basically in the extension kit, I'm going to open one rule, and then let's see the configuration of that rule. The most important part of the extension kit is to understand that extension kit works based on the concept of triggers and the actions. So trigger is when something happens inside the env files. For example, if you would like to react when user creates a new object, trigger will be object created. If you want to react or do something with the extension kit when object is changed, you will use the object change trigger. And there are many different options, which I'm going to show you right now. And then based on when this trigger happens, some rule will be executed in the extension kit. And execution of that rule will give you some functionality. It depends on which module you are using and how you have configured it. So if we take a look here at this example, we have configured one rule, we have the name, we have description of that rule, we can see that this rule is enabled. For the configuration mode here, we can see that this is the advanced configuration mode. If you select the simple, you see that some options are hidden. If you select advanced, then you will be able to see many different options. The reason for that is to simplify your initial configuration of the extension kit, so you can have fast forward to configuring your rules, and then if you have to fine tune something, you can enable the advanced configuration mode. For the trigger types, you can see that we have object created, object changed state, object entered state, object left state, on comment, scheduled, run once, and orchestrated. So all of those triggers are used to satisfy different use cases that you might have in your mFalse implementation. So for example, all of those created, changed, change state, the rules will be executed once user does some action in the mFalse, and then you also have more advanced things like the scheduled, run once, and orchestrated. So for the scheduled, for example, if you would like to run the specific rule in the extension kits every night, every 5 minutes, every 5 hours, you can use scheduled. If you would like to have a run once, so something that you will configure and run only once through the dashboard, then you can specify run once and as a trigger type. And then you also have the orchestrated. And if you select the orchestrated, there is a dedicated module for orchestration in which you can orchestrate many different rules in the extension kit. So for example, you can achieve more advanced scenarios where you would like to execute the rule in the extension kit only when some conditions inside the extension kit are satisfied. For example, I have 2 rules, I want to execute the second rule only if the first rule was executed successfully. That's the part about the triggers. And then also when you select the trigger type, you can select the trigger source. So in this specific example, my trigger type is object entered state. That means that object of type document of class offer, which is in state, which is in a workflow offer, and when it enters the state accepted, only then rule will be executed. For example, if you select here object created, then the same thing will be a trigger source, but then the action must be the object is created. So when the object of document is created of class offer in a workflow offer in a state accepted, only then something will happen in the extension kit, and that something depends on the module that you are using. So if I go to some other module, for example, object creation, you will be able to see that under the rules, Once again, I have object created. Once again, I have the trigger source. And then this piece of configuration is different because the logic of the object creation and the features that you would like to achieve with the object creations are different. So that's the main concept of the extension kit. You define the trigger, and then based on the module that you are using, you will have different configuration options.